Miatta Wilson, welcome. Tell us about your work with the Office of Formation.
Great to be with you all today. Yes, Miatta Wilson. I'm in the Office of Christian Formation for the PCUSA, and as you know, the ever-changing PCUSA. And I do not live in Louisville. I live in Dallas, and so in Texas, and I'm zooming in from there. And so I spend a lot of time Zoom with folks like you, as well as traveling around the country and working and working with various partners who I will tell you about. So basically, my job is, I like to say, is to connect people to people and people to resources in Christian formation. And a little bit more about me. So I'm an ordained elder, was ordained when I was in high school, served on the session in high school and in college, where I went to the College of Worcester in Ohio. And I'm a certified Christian educator, and have my master's in Christian ed from the Presbyterian Christian Ed School, now part of Union Presbyterian Seminary in Richmond. And I had been serving in local congregations for over 30 years in Christian education and Christian formation, both as a generalist across the whole age span, and then most recently, specifically in children's ministry, and served in multiple churches in the Dallas metropolitan area. And then have been really involved in camp ministry in our presbytery, as well as in various presbytery committees over the years, whether that's on council or in, on the nominating committee, or obviously working with summer camps. And I think I felt my calling. As a young person, and to be a part of, education and building God's beloved community, and finding ways to help equip people in forming faith. I've kind of thought about that for a long time since I was a young person. In my local church context, one of the congregations was a smaller congregation where it was the pastor and myself, and we were part of a group of 9 churches on the east side of Dallas that all had less than 300 members, and so we did a lot of ministry together. I served 2 churches at one point together, truly half-time, 2 days one week, 2 days the other church, swapped Sundays kind of thing, and we did youth group together. But then as a cluster of churches, there was officer training, other kinds of educational training. We did a lot of mission together. And so there was a lot of intergenerational work. And then I served at First Pres Dallas in downtown, doing Christian ed there for 13 years. And although I was focused on children, I did a lot of intergenerational ministry. And 2 of my passion projects there were a day camp at a retirement center for a week in the summer, which is like amazing. All the having the generations together, and being able to learn with and from each other, and just the community that was built. So that was great. And my other one was um, a family, well, I guess intergenerational mission trip. And we would stay within a 5-hour drive, and we would have from 3-year-olds to 80-year-olds, and have a week or 3 or 4 days doing mission and learning about ways to serve and be in community. And part of that was also about the community we built, as well as the work that we were doing. So those were kind of my things in local parish ministry. And so that helped inform once I took this job in Christian formation. And I have been working with the national offices now for 4 years. And so a lot of my work has to do with the relationships and figuring out how to connect people in local congregations to the resources, which we know can be difficult to find. One other thing I would say is before I talk about what our specific work is right now in Christian formation, is that we are using the word Christian formation instead of Christian education, partly because we see it as more than education. It is more than a Sunday school hour. And we are trying to think about and integrating all kinds of things so that we think about that we're helping to create and encourage and support folks in local contexts, how to create an environment that offers opportunities to grow and shape one's faith in God, one that's, expressed through love of neighbor and of God, and that it's not just about classroom teaching, right, but about examining and exploring and acting who God calls us to be through obviously education, small group, relationships, camp, fellowship, worship, mission, service, all those things, and across our entire lifespan. And so, yes, Christian education is part of it, but we're also thinking about it as broader than that. And in our office, we see that our role is to help support and equip lay leaders, educators, members of congregations and sessions and committees and CREs and pastors and all different kinds of contexts. And some of that is through what we call the Christian Formation Collective, which are 5 organizations which kind of go across the ages and stages of life, who are organizations that are part of the tied to the PCUSA in one way or another. And so we have grant partnerships with them and we do programs with them. So those 5 organizations are UKirk Collegiate Ministries. So that's the campus pastors on college campuses, churches that have college student programs, and so on. The second one is the Association of Partners in Christian Education, or APSE. And that organization is supporting Christian education leaders of all kinds, once again, pastors, volunteers, Christian educators, and such. And they have all kinds of resources and then have an annual event where there are workshops that hit the ages and stages with all kinds of interesting things. The third one is POAM, which is the Presbyterian Older Adult Ministries Network. And so, of course, those folks are focused on supporting folks who are in ministry with older adults. And they have a conference. Theirs is coming up in September in Boulder. And then they have a free guide with downloadable free resources. They have liturgy resources, a whole care partner toolkit. And I can connect you to any of this stuff as we go forward. And then the fourth organization is the Presbyterian Youth Workers Association. So once again, those folks are supporting youth workers, helping to equip them to work with young people, supporting them with really practical things like, what kinds of things do you do for forms or for child protection? Or maybe it's more things like, how do you keep from burning out or advocate for yourself when you're only supposed to be working 8 hours a week or 4 hours a week? And the fifth organization is PCCA, which is the Presbyterian Church Camps and Conferences Association, or it's also now called the Campfire Collective. And that is the organization for all of our Presbyterian camp and conference centers, as well as they, like APSE and UKirk, are ecumenical in that they also have members who are parts of the Church of parts of the Church of Canada, Presbyterian Church in Canada, or in some cases for the camps there are some Lutheran or UCC or some other folks who are part of that association. So we work with those organizations, supporting their programs, collaborating on writing things together, attending their conferences, having them attend each other's and offer workshops and find ways to connect you all to them and the support and the free resources that they have. So that is one of the big things and groups that I work with and then try to connect you all to. And then another part of it has to do with resources that we create or partner with others besides these five on. And we have what we call quick sheets, which are just sort of free downloadables on different topics that are accessible and easy and can be used by someone who is a volunteer as well as somebody who might have a theological background. And we try for those to be practical kinds of things. And I'm going to share a couple of those with you in a second. And then another one of our big things now for 5 years is that the PCUSA through our office received a $1.5 million Lilly Foundation grant for supporting parents and caregivers for passing on the faith at home. And so that could be parents, that could be grandparents, that could be members of the church who are connecting with the children who are in your midst, be they children attending your church or your outreach that you're in the midst of, or those kinds of things. And that's called the Around the Table Grant initiative. And so we have resources that are coming out as well as we have cohorts where churches are working to think about together. They can be part of a free cohort and think as a team about how they in their context want to connect with supporting parents and caregivers on passing on the faith. So those are our sort of our big projects. And so like a little teaser in terms of resources coming with the Around the Table resource, we've just gotten the proofs back for a card deck that we're creating with 60 cards with faith practices that can be used by anybody, but particularly for families, where you can pull out a card and it would have a simple way with a scripture passage, a couple of wondering questions, and maybe a suggestion of something to do together as a family. And those are going to be printed and be available come fall. So, that's one example of something that is coming. So our current commitment and passion then is particularly to support leaders in having accesses to resources and connections. And we know that people often feel alone in their ministry, which is why groups like y'all's is so important. And that sometimes we know that it's hard to find the things that you need. And we're also really particularly passionate about connecting with smaller congregations who might not have the same either people resources or financial resources. So I'm going to take a breath here and put a couple of things in the chat and share some resources with you. So basically our sort of landing page to get to some of our know more about us is just at pcusa.org/formation. If you think about something after we've left and you're like, I've got a question about where do I find this? It could be something about a resource that you think is Christian formation related, or it could be something that you're like, I know the PCUSA had a resource from the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance on X, but I can't find it. You can also email me that and I will help you locate it. So christian.formation@pcusa.org is the way for you to find those things. If you want to learn more about the Around the Table grant and the cohorts, which are free, that are coming up starting in the fall, applications are open now. I want to learn just more about what does that mean? What would that entail? But it's a good supportive group, and you'd be matched with other churches in similar kinds of contexts as you are in. you can find information about that at peaceusa.org/around the table. And then we have resources that are coming out of that program as well. And we have a series of quick sheets that are just launching, and our first ones just went out. And the first one has to do with family faith on the go. Like, what are some ideas to give families, particularly in the summer, something easy? So I'm going to drop that one, which is a quick sheet that is just a PDF that you can download in the chat. And also for fun, and I'll give you a way to find all of these things, but let's see if I can, where's copy the image address? Okay, so for instance, if you wanted something really simple to give people in your church or your family this summer, you could give them a bookmark that had some questions to ask around the table or in the backyard or a restaurant or something. And we have the bookmark already laid out, and all you'd have to do is print it out. So here is a link to what we call a wakelet, which is basically, I call it Pinterest for educators, but it's basically one link where then you can have all of the lists and links from a particular topic, and you don't have to keep all of these live links. It's like its own resource list because I can change it from the back. So I'm going to put this one, Family Faith on the Go. So if you were to click on that link, it would take you to a list where it has where you can download that bookmark I just mentioned. You can download some cards that would be have some questions on them for families, or there's a quick sheet that is just front and back that you could hand to a family with some prayers. So this is just an example of some of the things that that we have that are related to around the table. We also have all kinds of free guides for the flyaway children's books from the PCUSA store. We really work with Presbyterian Publishing a lot. And so we have wondering questions and activities that go with a lot of their children's books. So, that's the Around the Table initiative. Another thing, I don't know what sizes of the churches are that you all are a part of, but for folks who are in smaller places, we have 3 more gatherings of small church leaders who through the end of the year that are free that you could sign up for, where we share resources on different topics each time. And that's a great way for folks in smaller settings to connect with each other. There's a coach that meets with folks, and we just share on different kinds of resources, and people then come sometimes with specific questions, something they're stumped about, something they're looking for, something they're finding as difficult in their contexts. And then tomorrow, this is coming up, but tomorrow we host what we call community circles Zooms online. And so that small church one is a community circle. And tomorrow we have a community circle on AI and the ever-changing landscape of AI and its ethical implications and how it could be an aid in ministry. So I'm going to drop that in as well. And Andy Morgan, who's leading that, is from Tennessee. Educator and loves, he's amazing. So that gives you like a lot all at once, but hopefully maybe whets your appetite. I guess I want to know what questions you have, but my question to you first is, had you all heard of any of those 5 organizations that I was naming? Or was there at least one in there you didn't know? Anyone? Because I can put links to their websites as well. because they're great resources. And then there's also, if you're looking for additional training information, the Opening Doors to Discipleship website, which is one that we work with APSI on, has amazing resources as well. Questions?
I had not heard of those other organizations you mentioned, so a link to those would be great. I think one of
Excellent.
our biggest challenges is everybody wants young people in the church. Everybody wants a Pied Piper pastor who's going to bring them in droves.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and, we just have like maybe a couple people who are really trying to do their best with the few children that we have. And it's hard to have a big program because, you might have one Sunday where 3 kids show up. You might have one where only 2 show up or 8 show up. And so it's really hard to plan for those kind of things. And they say, well, the kids are going to go to a church that has all these big programs. So we're really struggling with that. They want kids, they want to get them here, and then we only have, a couple people who are willing to engage. It's a lot of work to do this. So any resources you have is really helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time today for this.
Well, you are welcome. And one thing I will say to you is, what you have said is, yes, very common across many of our churches. And for me, it's, the people who are there are the people we're in ministry. Not that we're not open to other people coming and doing things to include and invite and welcome. But 3 or 4 young people is a vibrant program. Right? And so yes, we can find ways to, if you can find ways to, have additional resources and be connected. Absolutely. So I would say that there are ways that all of these organizations may have resources or people who could be helpful to you. I would also, based on what you said, suggest that maybe if you're available, sign up for the small church community circle. And then just hopefully then you feel like, you get some opportunities to have some conversations with other people and not feel like you are alone. And in terms of, I can point you to various different kinds of curriculum resources and that kind of thing. And I know we're in the process of being in conversations to help have developed more broadly graded kinds of curriculum, and ways to really encourage people to do as many things intergenerationally as possible. There's so much, there are good materials out there for intergenerational ministry, and the research shows that is helps people grow in their faith. And obviously, in terms of young people, having additional important adults besides a parent in their lives is key. So that is all, how there's several churches who recently been talking about maybe doing sort of more one-on-one kind of mentoring as opposed to a Sunday school class. So people are thinking, and that I think came out of a small church conversation. So, yeah.
Just a quick comment, and that is that Edwina said everything that I was thinking, and she said it better than I would have said it. So ditto on that. And yeah, I too, wasn't aware that all of this was available. So what I need time to do is just sit and
Of
look.
course.
There's no wise question that I could ask.
That's fine. Oh yeah, no, that's why it's like drinking from a fire hose, I know. But I feel like if you like pick and you look, you pick one to look at for a little bit one day and then pick another one, and then it'll probably spark a question. I mean, literally, really feel free to reach out. Or something that isn't even tied to any of these, or it might jog your memory and make you think about something else. Because yes, there are things that cost money in order to have, but it is amazing the wealth of free downloadable resources, or even just reading on the screen. You don't even have to print out, that might give you enough information either for you or for you to pass on to some other, even to some other committee or group within your congregation. And here I'm just really touching on, sort of Christian formation kinds of things. Specifically from our office and our partners. But then, of course, I mean, I can connect you with things related to, like I gave as an example, Presbyterian Disaster Assistance or Presbyterian Hunger Program, or some of those other folks that have other resources. Another example is if you've got folks who are, you're looking for a study and you're trying to thinking about having conversations about what it means to be Presbyterian. Maybe you've got some folks who are joining or who are visiting who don't have a Presbyterian background. We have this great Why Are Presbyterians Like That 10-week downloadable study that John Williams, the chaplain at Austin College, wrote originally for college students, but we now have it in a format for congregations in general, so it doesn't have specific college sort of vocabulary for college students. So I mean, that's another resource that's available for adults. But yeah, helping people find them and know that the things exist is the case.
I think that would really be helpful for a confirmation class as well. And if you could share that resource,
Oh,
that'd be
absolutely.
fabulous.
Absolutely. And I also have so in this Wakelet platform that I was saying we have, this is what I'm going to put in now is our complete Wakelet resource. And so this has different topical headings. Like there's one in there called confirmation. And now these lists are curated lists. So there are things in there that are not from the PCUSA, but they're ones we have looked at, right? So they may be from a PCUSA partner. So say somebody like organization like Illustrated Ministry or A Sanctified Art, or it might be from Presbyterian Publishing. Then again, it could be from our Methodist siblings, or it could be from somebody else. But that will get you to a topical listing, which is another way when you're just thinking about where might I look for a resource sometime. You can go to that complete list, look by topic, and see if there's something. And we're always building new ones based on what we see as needs. Like the confirmation one was just built a few weeks ago. A few months ago, there was one that was built that was resources around Christian nationalism. There's one that we just built that had to do with summer activities for kids, right? So there are ones on curriculum and such as well. I'll find that direct link though for the Why Presbyterians Are Like That. Just a second.
I've been using the Collaborate for confirmation, although we're going to have confirmation again next year. And the challenge I'm having now, because we're a bit behind, is trying to get the parents and the kids to agree on a date. Oh, we can't meet before church anymore. We can't meet after church. We can't meet during the week. I'm like, okay, well, you want them to have confirmation and you're not giving me any day of the week at all to do this. So, we're trying to come up, a few of us, with some creative ideas. Maybe we incorporate that once a month into a confirmation class during worship with the whole congregation,
Well,
so
that could be amazing, right?
yeah.
And do an intergenerational activity. That could be amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll tell you about that is we have with those organizations I was naming, we have some retreat modules. So like if there's ever a time that your congregation gets together for some kind of a retreat, either at a camp or at the church, there's one that is a confirmation one. There's one that is an intergenerational one. There's a grandparent camp one. And those are also free, the whole thing is right there with all the activities and all the scriptures and it's all there planned for you. So there are those as well. But that's a great, yeah, I like your creativity, your thinking there.
I'm seeing
Everyone
some,
enjoys that creativity, but
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
exactly.
I think I see some furious note-taking happening on screen here. I'm gonna download all these links and send them out to everyone. So
Great, thank
you
you.
don't have to be uh, stressed out about making sure you wrote something down right.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think yeah, and I think what Bonnie was saying, just, kind of checking on one that seems of interest and digging a little deeper and then seeing what questions then bubble up, and how we can be of help to you all. And you could also decide either individually in your context or you all as a group. I mean, if there's some other setting, on it's easy on Zoom for me, right? Some other setting where it would be helpful to either one-on-one have another conversation. I mean, you can also call, we could email and then you could call me. Or I'm happy to meet with another group of people, right? In your local context or in your presbytery, and spend a little more time and even do show some things on PowerPoint, that kind of stuff. So that's what I see my job as being.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your faithfulness to that job. I think it's very important work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do think it is, and so grateful from having spent all those years in the local context to know the time and the energy, the commitment that it takes on y'all's part. So we're grateful for your ministry.
Any other questions, folks?
Well, I'll just, I love the idea of calling it formation. And I remember from my interspiritual perspective, I remember the Dalai Lama came to Central Park and said, he said, I'm not here to convert you to Buddhism. I'm here to convince you to go deeper into your own religion.
There you go.
And I think, when I think of interspiritual, I think we should be wide open to learning from other wisdom traditions. But
Right.
we have so much to offer within Christianity that most people don't even get. I mean, discipleship requires this kind of effort. And so I love what you're doing. I mean, sharing these resources, and I'm going to tell George to get with it. He's the pastor of First Presbyterian Church. I wish he was here because I know he likes to educate and I think, getting in touch with, he's a Methodist, getting in touch with all these Presbyterian resources will be a good thing for him. So I will try
That's
to
good.
get him to
Good.
see all these wonderful resources that you shared. Thank you very much.
Well, you are most welcome. Quick question for Larry or for any of you. Have you heard of the Mid-Council's newsletter? So I'm thinking, it's sent to mid-councils, but I think, and it comes out every other week, and it's got information and resources for mid-council leaders, but that they are supposed to be putting in newsletters and online and sharing with congregations. But I don't think there's any reason that anyone can't sign up for it. So I am going to send you that link in case somebody isn't. I mean, I'm going to put that link in here too, in case somebody is interested in that. So if you go to this link and you're going to scroll to the bottom. And there's a place to, it tells you about the mid-councils, but then if you scroll to the bottom, it says newsletters and blogs sign up. And then there's a drop-down menu, and you could pick from any of these newsletters that you want to sign up for. Some of them are Some of them are, I think, on hiatus right now, just as things are in unification. There are some things that aren't coming out as regularly as they were. But sign up for any of them that you're interested in. You can get the daily lectionary. You get the stuff about regarding ruling elders, which is all about elder and deacon training. But the one that is called Mid Council Leaders, that's the one that comes out every other week. And so it has stuff not just from our office, obviously. I mean, it's stuff from the Office of General Assembly and things from Presbyterian Publishing, or if there's, new information on this. So that's just another resource for you. What John said made me think of that.
Well, to go a little further, since one thing that causes me to be at a Buddhist Sangha on Sunday mornings these days is that the Presbyterian Church has never been, I've been a Presbyterian for a long, long time, and I love being a Presbyterian. Okay. But one of our weaknesses has been the contemplative and contemplative and meditation focus. Mm-hmm. So what I would be looking for in resources more than other people at my point in life probably is that contemplative and meditation resources, and just encourage the Presbyterians to get a little deeper into that.
I will pass that on. Yes, I agree. So many resources from others out there. Yeah.
Well, for example, I have a list of 134 pioneers of interspiritual wisdom and practices. And I think I got one Presbyterian, and Larry knows him well. His name is Walter Wink.
Oh, yes.
But all the rest would be Catholic.
Right.
If they're Christian. I mean, there's others. There's
right.
Buddhists and Sikh and, all
right.
Hindu and all the rest. And certainly Native American indigenous.
But yes, lots of indigenous folks.
Where are the Presbyterians when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
deeper contemplation, mystical stuff? I've said enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. I affirm you. Oh, you're on mute, Larry, if you're trying to talk to us.
Oh, and I mute myself and then forget. So maybe the answer to John's question is in that document. Why are Presbyterians like that?
There's some of that.
All right, I'll look at that one.
That will have lots of words. It will not have enough meditations for John.
At the meeting today in Northern New York, we had a fairly robust discussion about the nature of discernment. And that's an area where we need assistance too. We're real good at decision making, but we lack a lot in the area of real true discernment.
Well, Presbyterians traditionally have been very strong, I believe, on really reason. I mean, I love reading the reports at all, the big General Assembly report that comes out every year. Mm-hmm. Well, I used to read it. And we're good at that stuff. We're very good. Being very reasonable and intellectual. But and that's a strength of ours, and I love it. But we can learn a lot from other denominations, traditions, for when it comes to some of our weaknesses.
Sure.
So discernment may be one of them, Larry.
Part of our Around the Table initiative, that grant for families, we're focusing on spiritual practices and how to equip and support parents and caregivers in feeling equipped or confident for themselves, and very simple faith practices. And some of those are those more contemplative things that you're talking about, John. And so, yeah, we're trying to grow some of that.
Great. Thank you.
Well, friends, we're at the end of our time. So, Miatta, this has been, mind-blowing is the first word phrase that comes to mind.
I'm so grateful for the time, and I don't even remember now, Larry, how you and I got connected, but I'm grateful that that happened, and I hope that you all will pass on my information and word to others in your, immediate and wider circles so that I can continue to equip and share resources.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And again, I'll send out all these links with the link to the video. So, well, let's end with a blessing. Blessed are we when we find ourselves loudly shouting, "Is anybody there?" We hear the echo, the shuffle of feet, the murmur of others, asking the same question, together in the knowledge that we are often far beyond what we know. God, show us a glimmer of possibility in this new context, that small truths will be given back to us. We are held, we are safe, we are loved, we are loved, we are loved. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Thanks for your interest, y'all.
Thank you, friends. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Also with you.
Bye now.